given a session. Okay, I was advised to let you all know that this session is being recorded. So if you want to go fix your hair or whatever, many people will watch this video in the future, not just now. So anyway, hope everyone's cool with that. If you're not, you can maybe block your picture or whatever you want to do. Shoot, I'm having trouble keeping up with this chat channel here. Okay, nothing, just highs and whatnot. Okay, so let me go ahead and get to my slides here. All right, so now I believe everyone can see that, right?
Yes.
All right, so it says 7 secrets of successful teaching. What is your secret? All right, so here we go. There'll be 7 of them, and we are going to do breakout sessions. That's why I was hoping that Keiko would get here pretty soon so that she can help with that. But anyway, all right, so number 1 out of 7. Let's talk about your motivation for teaching. Remember, I'm basing all this on a teacher that made a public post in Reddit talking about she's so sick of teaching after 25 years and she hates it and she can't wait till retire. So now I'm winding the clock back and thinking, okay, well, before you got into teaching, did you examine your motivation for teaching? So let's talk about that for a moment. Motivation is a big subject in psychology. Human motivation. Freud's whole theory is based on motivation. He's called the pleasure principle. And, Stephen Covey wrote a book about 7 habits of effective people. There are people who make a living being called motivational speakers. So we hear the word motivation a lot. So for your first step in this process that we're here to talk about, I want you to take a moment to think about your motivation. What is your motivation for teaching? What are you thinking about? Why does this attract you? So, just a minute. I have to go to the waiting room and let some people in. And okay, I think that's everybody. Oh, Keiko's here. Okay. Just give me 1 second. Keiko, can you hear me? Can you unmute and let me know?
Yes. Hi. Sorry, I was a little late. How are you? Yeah.
No, wait. They've been waiting for you.
Oh, okay. Thank you. My
been
apologies. I just got out of class, so I just rushed to here. My apologies.
They've been pounding on the table, shouting, Keiko, Keiko.
Okay. Well, let's get started. Yes. So I'm here.
Good. So Keiko, just while I'm just talking through these first few slides, what I'd like to do in a moment, in each of these 7 segments, we're going to have a short breakout time. And so if you would group the participants into groups of 4 as closely as possible, there might be 1 remaining group that doesn't have 4, but that would suit the short breakout sessions that we're going to do. So
sure. So you would like I can do 4 to 5 participants per room? Is
4.
That
I would like you to do 4 if you don't mind.
4, yeah, 4 participants per room. Yes. Got it.
And also, Keiko, since I made you a co-host, are you able to let people in from their waiting room?
Yes.
Okay, good. I'm going to turn that over to you then, because that's driving me crazy going back and forth on that one.
Sure, no problem.
Okay, so sorry for the interruption. Let's get back on the track here. So let's begin with, ponder. I want you to just think about this and really do think about it. What are your models of teaching? We all have models of teaching, but what are our models of teaching? I think for the most part, they're going to be the teachers that we had. Wouldn't you agree with that? There's some other possibilities. They might be something you saw on a television show or Oprah, some teacher interviewed by Oprah Winfrey, or there's some other possibilities. But I think for the most part, the most durable teaching models that we have are the teachers that influenced us. Now, there's a lot of talk these days about the role of the teacher in education, specifically with regard to the diversity of the teaching force in California. We'll just, all of our comments will be confined to talking about California, since that's the state we live in. But I'm not sure if you're aware of this or not, but there's a lot of discussion now. We want to try to see more teachers of color so that students can have a broader choices and perhaps resonate with a teacher that they can relate to. All right, so it says, think of a time when a teacher influenced you in either a good way or a bad way. If you could just let your mind think back to your days in school, probably starting with kindergarten, but moving on up through the grades. I wonder if most of your thoughts are focusing on something positive. I hope they would. Okay, but if you are thinking of something positive, I want you to just reflect for a moment. Does the thing that you're thinking about have anything to do with subject matter? Or does it have something to do more with the emotions or the concern or the patience or the sense of humor? I do this exercise with my education courses every semester, and I put the thoughts on the board. We don't have time to do that for this short presentation, but very consistently, they're always to do not with subject matter, but to do with, my second grade teacher was so kind. My third grade teacher took the time to help me. My sixth grade teacher had a good sense of humor, that kind of stuff. All right, so we're just thinking about these things. What is your motivation for teaching? All right, so here's some things that I want to add to your thought process. Consider how the world is constantly changing, and think about whatever grade that you're thinking of teaching, anywhere from kindergarten on up to high school. Your student is going to be hopefully a part of the workforce in some amount of years in the future. Certainly if you're teaching a lower elementary grade, it's going to be quite a few years in the future that they would actually be in the workforce. So regard this line here, you're teaching not just for this year. I remind you, if you didn't know that a teaching year is 180 days. That's how many days, if you went to school in California, that's how many days you spent in first grade, third grade, all the grades, 180 days. So it's a very brief time that you're with the teacher. So when thinking about your motivation for teaching, you can be thinking about teaching for the year, for the particular year. Very often teachers refer to what the students are going to need in the coming years. I'm sure you've heard this before. Oh, you're going to need this when you get to junior high school. Oh, you're going to need this when you get to high school, or even next year or whatever. So you can refer to the next year, but I want to leave you with the thought of teaching for the whole life. What are you teaching a child that will follow that child through his or her entire life? And I guarantee you that's not anything to do with a subject matter. It's to do with things like you see at the bottom here, empowering a student with a belief in herself or himself, inspiring a student with the idea that wherever I am now, I can improve over time, and leaving a student with a very sure feeling that I am likable and I am liked, not only by the other students in the class, but by the teacher as well. Okay, so Keiko, are we ready with the breakout groups?
Yes. Okay.
Okay, so guys, you have been bless you. You have been put in different groups. It's going to be you and 3 other people, although there may be one odd group because of the number count.
Yes, they will be. Would you rather have groups of 3 or groups of 5 other than 4?
Probably 3.
3. Okay, so that's okay. I am sending opening all rooms right now. So you'll be getting an invitation to your breakout room.
All right.
3, 2, 1.
Keiko, can you put a timer on it?
Yes, how
Put
long
it-
would
put
you
it
like
for
us?
4 minutes.
4 minutes, sure.
4 minutes. So you're gonna have 4 minutes. I want you to meet the other people in your room. Say hi. My name is whatever. You can tell if you're a student, where you are in your studies, and then each of you give an answer to the others. What might be different about the world 10 years from now? So we're in 2021, right? So let's pretend and imagine that the year is now 2031. Just use your imagination and think about something that might be different in the world 10 years from now. Okay, and then that breakout session is going to end in 4 minutes, and then we're going to come back to this main room.
Okay, I start the timer right now, 4 minutes, starting now.
Thank you, Keiko.
You're welcome.
Just move your neck around clockwise, counterclockwise. If any of you played sports in school, you'd be very familiar with moving your neck. You can go up, you can go down, to the right and to the left. Okay, let's move on to segment number 2. Segment number 2, secret. Not really a secret, but some people didn't realize it yet. That teaching is all about relationships. It's nothing but relationships. If you don't see teaching in terms of relationships, I think you're not going to be happy pretty quickly. I don't think it's going to take you 25 years like the lady that I told you on Reddit. I think that she didn't understand that teaching is about relationships. I think the most obvious relationship that we would all of us would think of right away is, oh, yeah, you have a relationship with your students. That's true. You do have a relationship with your students, and you can build that slowly with time. You can know each of your students' name, maybe what an interest of this person is, something about the family, the siblings, any kind of thing like that, anything unique to this student. That's the most obvious one. But here I have laid out some other ones that you may or may not have thought of. So let me tell you, you also, in the teaching task, in a typical teaching task, you will have a relationship with the other teachers that work alongside you. You run into them in the hall, you go to professional development with them, you share a lunchroom usually. Sometimes you share a refrigerator or some kind of space for your food. They can be your allies, your supports, so on. So that might be a little bit easy to come to your mind. You may have a special relationship with one teacher, usually someone a little bit older than you, because that gives that person a better insight, and that person might be your mentor. And you will need a mentor teacher when you're moving from a preliminary credential to a clear credential. You are going to need a mentor. What about this one? Have you thought about this before? You have a relationship with the custodial staff and with the maintenance staff. Anyone who's been teaching for more than a year or two will verify this for me. When you need chalk, when you need erasers, when you need a light bulb changed, when you need a door fixed, who are you going to ask about that? It's not going to be the principal. It's going to be the custodial staff or the maintenance staff. You have a relationship with these people, and to the amount that you understand this is going to make all of these things are going to make your teaching better. That's the whole thing that we're here to talk about. What are the secrets of successful teaching? And successful meaning you like it. You don't want to quit. You're not going to work hating it every day. There's also the office staff. There's all kinds of reasons why you might want to get to know the office staff, not the least of which is they give you your check every month, unless you have it mailed to your bank. Your school, depending on the situation, may have a security team. We've seen tragically in the past things in the news where a security team was needed, even before the actual sheriffs or police got there. You may have a health staff. You may have an IT, which stands for internet technology. And then I wonder if you've thought about this, the people who hold offices in your local district or the state or even in the federal, can have an influence on your teaching. For example, did you know that the current First Lady of the United States either was or is a community college teacher? I think her name is Jill Biden. I belong to one organization that we actually wrote her a letter and explained some of the challenges that we're facing here in California. You just never know who can be an ally, and it's good to have as many relationships as possible. And by the way, we call this networking. You're building a network, a support network. Okay, and then we're going to talk about relationships with administrations a little bit later. It's another bullet point. Then you also have your teacher unions. This is extremely important to know about. You don't want to wait until you've been teaching 10 years to find out that, oh, we have a teachers union. Yeah, we do. California Teachers, well, this should be CTA, California Teachers Association. And then these last two are national organizations, the National Education Association and the American Federation of Teachers. And then lastly, you have the relationship with parents. We could do a whole session on the importance of building positive relationship with parents. But let me tell you from the start that building relationships with parents positive relationships is a huge factor in whether you're happy in teaching or miserable in teaching. You don't want to have adversarial relationships with parents. And there's a lot to say about that, but that's not the topic of our talk. This is one of the relationships that we have. Okay, we're going to skip this because I don't know, since you just came in, I don't know if you have a picture with you, but this is something that you can do, which is called, do an action on what you've just been talking about. So if we were going to do this, you could draw a picture of, something that represents you, and then put a line, relationship with students, relationships with my fellow teachers, relationships with the custodial staff, and so on. But let's move on from there. All right, Keiko, are you ready to do breakout number 2?
Yes.
Okay, we're going to do
Another 4 minutes, or how long would you like it to be?
Can we afford 4 minutes?
Yeah,
Okay.
4 minutes.
Another 4 minutes?
Yeah, I think 4 minutes is good because it's 4 people in the group, and that only gives each person 1 minute to talk.
Okay.
I took a conference before, and the breakout groups were all like 3 minutes long, and it just really ended up being, you couldn't get anything said in that. So yeah, 4 minutes. Each breakout group is going to be 4 minutes.
Okay. I'm resending invitation to breakout rooms right now. 3, 2, 1, go. You have 4 minutes. And I am going to assign some of you who came in late. So for those of you who came in late, hold on tight. Okay, and one more person. There you go. This should be everyone in the breakout room. So I will pause the recording for now. They'll be back in 15 seconds.
Okay, good. I saw Yi Wan Chen came back in, but She didn't talk to me when I spoke to her, so I don't know if she's connected or not.
Yeah, she might be having a technology issue for today. It happens with
Yeah.
Zoom.
Yeah, she's my student, so I will find out later what happened.
No, I'm here. I just log into different device. Yeah.
Thank you, May. Okay, welcome back. I want to go back to the second portion here and illustrate the quote here. It's written in the masculine, but you can change it to she and her. A teacher affects eternity. He can never tell, or she can never tell, where his influence stops. This is so true, and this is something that you must acknowledge this in your own teaching, because you don't know. It's a very profound truth of teaching that you don't see the results of your work. Most often you don't. The only little time that teachers have displeasure is when a student comes back after, graduating from high school, if you were that teacher's fourth grade teacher or something. But usually you don't see what you did for this student. So it's a very tricky situation. It's like there's a certain pleasure that comes from regarding your work and the finished product of your work, but this doesn't always happen for teachers. So this is an important thing. So that's the quote. And
Professor, we don't see your screen.
oh, you don't see the screen? Oh, I thought I was doing screen share. Okay, hold on. Maybe screen share went off. Hold on a second. Now, can you see it?
Yes.
Yes,
Yes. Yes.
All right, this is the second riddle. Who wants to give it a try?
watch.
Coin. Is it a coin?
Either one of those could be right. I like
Emoji?
I love the divergent thinking. This is good. Those
My
are all-
dog, Doctor.
Oh, a clock. That's a good one.
Those are all good answers. Okay, so and then for ending this second session, I'm going to give you an opportunity and do it with you to now move your shoulders. You just don't have to stand up. You can just roll your shoulders back, roll them forward, roll them back, roll them forward. This is very good to move your body a little bit each time. You don't have to wait a long period of time. You can do this in your own classroom interactions as well. Okay, so in the next groups that we do, Keiko is going to put the question in the chat box so you can access it from the breakout room. All right, let's move on to principle number 3. Manage your expectations. This is, we talked in the first one about examining your motivations. Now we're talking about your expectations. You do have expectations, whether you've thought about it or not. You definitely should think about it because they do exist. And the quote here is from Robert Heinlein: when one teaches, two learn. And that's illustrating the fact that when you teach someone something, you're actually reinforcing your own learning. But let's talk about these expectations. I want to tell you a true story of when I was teaching for Los Angeles Unified School District. I did that for many years in both general education and special education. And I still have those credentials, but I've been teaching college for a while now. But when I was teaching in the elementary school, a new teacher came on board. She was coming from the advertising world. She was in the world of advertising. She had been making a 6-figure salary, and she decided it was not rewarding, that all this money that she was making, it wasn't fulfilling. She wanted to be a teacher. So she was in her first year of teaching. She was a 2nd grade teacher, and her classroom was just a couple doors down from the principal's office in the main school building. And I was going to the office for some purpose. I don't remember what my purpose was, but I saw the principal out in the hallway, and the teacher was completely break down crying. And it was like it was like the second day of the second week of school. And she was a complete mess. She was sobbing and the principal was patting her back and, whatever. So I politely went on my way. I didn't want to, try to intrude, but later on I asked, what was that all about? And this teacher had her expectations were completely dashed because she thought that the kids were all going to come and run up to her and sit at her feet with big wide open eyes and look up at her and, grand anticipation of what she was going to teach them. And they weren't doing that at all. And she was having a very hard time with that. So what are your expectations? What are you expecting to happen when you get your own classroom? Something's going to happen, but what do you think is going to happen? Try to make that part of your preparation of being a teacher. So here on the next screen, I said, how do you picture student engagement? That's, do you realize that this is still happening? Even many of your college professors, because of this year that we've been in online environment, they could ask themselves this same question, even though, they're professional teachers, they've been teaching for a while. But guess what nobody was expecting? Nobody was expecting to have a group of Zoom students when they all had their camera off. I've heard this mentioned at so many meetings and on online discussions. Oh, what do you do? How do you get your students to turn on their camera? Oh, you can't make them turn on their camera. It's a privacy issue. Oh, it's so hard to teach where they don't say anything back to me. Like, yeah, that's the reality. You have to deal with what's real, not with what you imagine. You probably thought you were going to have this, lively time and everyone was going to be engaging your thoughts and stuff, but it didn't happen that way. So you have to adjust. What about student respect? I've heard this one a lot too, very consistently. Oh, the students they don't have the respect. And then what are you expecting in terms of student performance? This is another one that I shake my head at. When teachers said, oh, my students, they're so underperforming. I'm like, well, they're low performing students. That's why they need you. You might be teaching in an area where the student achievement is quite low. You have to teach who you're teaching, not who you thought you were going to be teaching. These are very, very important things to think about, so that you don't end up being all bitter and feeling like, I didn't get what I came for. All right, so let's go on to the breakout room. So Keiko, are you there? Okay, well.
Yes, I am. Yes.
Oh, okay. Well, you want to go ahead and post this sentence into the chat?
Sure. I actually cannot copy and paste because that's on your slide. So if you could do that and then
Okay.
post it in the chat room, and that will probably be quicker.
You got it. Let me go to see how I get back to the full screen here. Hold on a second.
Well, we can certainly send the students to breakout room and then we can figure it out.
Okay, yeah, I'm just having trouble getting back to the full screen here. Hold on.
I think maybe if you push escape.
No, that's not working.
Or you could minimize your screen.
Let me stop sharing for a minute. Maybe that will be the answer. Yeah, that is the answer. Okay, so the chat to everyone. Yeah, okay. So now the question is in the chat. Keiko, are people in their breakout rooms? I see a
No,
lot of,
no, not yet. So are you ready? So how, 4 minutes again?
yeah.
No, the information's not in the chat.
Yeah, there's no question there.
Really? It shows it on my screen. It says to
You might
everyone.
have private messaged somebody. It's not to
Yeah.
everyone.
Yeah,
it
that's
says-
probably.
No, it says to everyone.
Okay, I can type it in. So let me send the students to the breakout room, but maybe you can read it for us before we go, and then I'll type it in.
It's for you to finish this sentence. I am having trouble with a student's behavior in class. I expect the principal to, and then ... You are to finish that sentence. What do you expect from the principal?
Okay, I just type it in and then put it in the chat, so everybody should be able to see it in the breakout room as well. Can you all see it? If you can see it, give me a
Yes.
thumbs up. Okay,
Yes.
great.
Uh,
Okay.
yes, yes.
Okay, so sending everybody back to the breakout room right
Oh.
now.
That's what I did. I forgot to hit enter.
All right. Okay, 3, 2, 1, go.
This damn technology.
That's okay, Professor Hughey. We're all in this together.
Yay, thank you. Thank you for your support. I appreciate it. Is my screen sharing fine right now?
Yes, we can see.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, so welcome back. I hope you had you had an insightful discussion with your other group members. And I do hope that this brought to your attention that if you're not aware of it, you can become aware of it. You do have expectations, and your expectations are extremely important to recognize. And by the way, most of you are in your young adulthood. Can I just slip in an advertisement here for choosing a marriage partner? You also have expectations in that regard as well. And if you haven't examined them, do yourself a favor, because they are going to come up. But that's another topic. But getting back to teaching, you definitely have expectations about what you expect from everyone around you. And your expectations are so strong and they're so imbued that when they're not met, you feel offended, you feel insulted, you feel cheated. And really, it's just that this is what you were expecting to happen. So where do you get a better realistic picture is as you develop as your training as a teacher, you will be required to do observations, field work, practice teaching. And this is where you can refine, and even talking to other teachers, try to make your expectation. Well, the topic is manage your expectations, make them manageable, make them more consistent with what the world is really like. Okay, the riddle for this section, what belongs to you, but other people use it more?
Yes.
Time. It's our name.
Yes, your name, good. I see we have some riddle experts in this group. Okay, so to end this, you can join me or not, it's completely up to you. But we're going to wiggle the arms, but in order to do that, it's better if you stand up, just wherever you are. Up to you, you don't have to do it, of course, but I'm gonna do it because, you know why? Because it feels good. It feels good. You'll feel it if you do it. Just stand up, get up off your butt for a minute, and you're gonna get a different body feeling than before. It just lets your blood flow. Move your arms from side to side. You can grip your elbow and pull it. And you could grip your other elbow and then shake your arms a little bit back and forth, sit back down. And there you go. You're ready. You're ready for a new segment. All right, moving on. Segment number 4, take care of yourself. This has gotten a lot of attention in this COVID time. Take care of yourself. People are working furiously. I will attest to it's a lot of work to switch from teaching in person to teaching online, especially when you weren't ready for it and now you have to teach all 5 of your classes online. So people have been talking about, hey, don't forget to take care of yourself. I've seen it in my own job as a college professor. I've seen it on teaching websites. By the way, if you don't know about this, there's a cool teaching website called boardteachers.com, boardteachers.com. It's quite enjoyable. It's got humor in it. It's got anecdotal stories and so on. All right, the quote, teachers have three loves: love of learning, love of learners, and the love of bringing the first two loves together. All right, so let's get down into it. What there's some things, what we can say about practical things about teachers taking care of themselves. All right, well, what comes before that is many teachers, but especially new teachers, often overextend themselves in an attempt to want to do everything. And they may be feeling that, well, if I don't do everything, it's going to look like I'm not trying hard enough or whatever. So here are some bullet points and just very reasonable, easy things to do. For example, lunchtime. Lunchtime, it's small enough as it is. You usually get about a half an hour for lunch, maybe 40 minutes if you're lucky. But that's your time. It's your time to get some nutrition. It's also your time to just relax. Some teachers don't even come out of their room for lunchtime. They just eat right in their room, but others will go to the teacher's lunchroom and enjoy some company with their pals. But unless it's required of you, like you have to do noon lunch yard monitoring or there can be that possibility. But just think of that as your time. You can give it up if you want to. It's up to you. You can give up any of these if you want to, but just realize you're entitled to that. And guess what else? You're also entitled to go home at night. So in my first years of teaching, which was at Lorena Street Elementary School in East LA, Whittier and Lorena Street intersection, East LA, I routinely went home at 8 o'clock in the evening when school was over at 3. And there were two reasons for that. One was I felt I had a lot of preparation to do for the next day, but also I just felt, oh, well, there's going to be a lot of traffic heading north on the 5 freeway, so I'll just wait it out. But that was too much. I made all the mistakes. I made every single one of these mistakes. So, set a time for yourself, and you are entitled to the time. Also, your evenings belong to you. Yeah, you could give it up once in a while. You can go to an evening meeting or, take some papers home with you. But if you're losing all of your evenings, that is not a healthy work-life balance. You want to create a healthy balance right from the start. Otherwise, you're going to exhaust yourself. And that is what we see. That's what we see, that the teaching profession has one of the highest burnout rates of any profession. Why is that? Why are people burning out? There's a reason why people are burning out. They're trying to do too much. Create a healthy work-life balance. And then what about your weekends? Teachers often work on the weekends. That's reasonable, probably need that time to get some of your grading done or your preparing, but your teaching shouldn't be dominating your entire weekend. That's what people look forward to on the weekend, is a time of renewal and relaxation, spending time with their family, going for a hike, going to the beach, going out listening to some music. And then a last little bit of advice. Well, there's a lot of people coming in at this point. Another little bit of advice. You don't have to belong to every committee and serve on every panel.
You did not select the correct response. Game and answer. Randomized board game. Roll.
You don't have to do everything. You have to do some things. You're required to participate in some degrees, but I'm telling you, this is a very, very common mistake that new teachers make, is thinking they have to do everything, and they pay the price for it, unfortunately. So if you do have a good mentor, if I were your mentor, I would tell you, hey, take it easy. You already belong on this committee. That's enough for now. You can expand more next year if you want to, but you need to take care of yourself. All right, so that is taking care of yourself. Okay, so Keiko, are you ready for the breakout?
Yes.
All right, I'm gonna put this in the chat, and this time I'm gonna remember to hit enter.
Okay, and then another 4 minutes.
Yes, please.
Okay.
Let me stop sharing so I can get to the chat thing.
Yes, and let me allow some new people to join us. Okay.
So
okay,
this breakout is called pair share, where you're working with one other student. So if you're in groups of 4, you can do it at the same time. One of you is going to play the part of the administrator, and the second of you is going to be the new teacher. It's just a role play to reinforce the concept that we've been. So who is playing the school administrator? You can modify this if you want, but I just said, here's the administrator asking you to serve on the textbook adaptation or adaption committee. And the assumption is you're already doing 2 or 3 other things, and this is going to require a couple of weekends and hours after school, talking to publishers and all this kind of stuff. So you really don't want to do it. So your job in this role play is to say, in whatever way is your particular way, I don't think I can do this right now. We all have our different ways of saying no, right? If you don't have one, you should get one because it's a good one to have. A polite way of saying no. You don't want to be rude or, offensive. Okay, so that's your role play. So go ahead and start it up.
Okay, 4 minutes. And those of you who came in late, I'm going to put you in a room. So please hold on tight. You will receive the invitation to a breakout room.
Could you show us the prompt again so we can understand the topic?
Yes.
The question is in the chat channel, if that's what you asked.
Yeah, we want to know the prompt, the topic, so we can discuss.
Yeah, I put it in the chat channel. You want me to put it again?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Yes. And then on the bottom, you will see a little icon that said chat. So if you click on that, you should be able to see the prompt.
And one of them was demonstrating an administrator putting what I would call putting pressure by saying, oh, we really need you to do this. And this is what I was trying to tell you. This is what you need to know. You have a life, you have rights. It's not appropriate for an administrator to pressure you like that, especially as a new teacher. That could almost be considered harassment, because as a new teacher, you're going to feel uncertain, like, oh my gosh, maybe I have to do this. So this is why you need, maybe a little bit more experienced person to tell you. And many of the answers that I read in the chat were very polite. You're like, oh, I'd really like to help. Maybe next time. Let me know when the decision is made. These are all appropriate. These are great instincts that you have. You don't need to sulk. You don't need to get mad. You don't need to do any of that. You just, I'd love to help, but I can't right now. Let me know in the future. Okay, so I'm going to go back to sharing, and we're going to wrap this one up. Here is the riddle for this segment here. What 2 things can you never eat for breakfast?
Lunch and dinner.
Oh, come on, dude. You got a book with you.
I know. Wait a minute.
What 220? You
Knew that way too fast.
I think Archie was the one who knew all of these riddles when he was in school. Okay, good job. Okay, so we got to move on here because we're right on schedule, but we can't dally too long. All right, segment number 5, get to know the administration. This was part of the second segment about relationships, but this one I wanted to spend an extra bit of time on. And here's the quote: from Albert Einstein, it is the supreme art of the teacher to awaken joy in creative expression and knowledge. If you can awaken joy in students, I mean, you are an absolutely awesome teacher. One of the saddest things I ever heard my son say when he was probably about 12 years old, we were traveling and I turned the radio station on to talk radio, and they were talking about something. And he pretended like he was that witch in the Wizard of Oz that melts when they put water on her. And he was saying, no, turn it off. It sounds like school. And I was like, oh my God, is this what school has done to you? Like, you don't even want to hear anything that sounds informative. Plus, I've heard people say, I'm done with school now. I never want to read another book. I mean, this is an absolute failure of the teachers that they had. But here Albert Einstein is talking about awakening joy. Can you imagine? I mean, he's like a top renowned physicist, and he's not talking about formulas. He's talking about joy in creative expression and joy in knowledge. So you can keep that in mind. All right, so what do you know about the administration? You know that there's the principal and the vice principal. There's the superintendent of any particular school district, and every school district has a school board. I guarantee you, wherever you live, whatever school district you live in, that school district has a school board, and that school board has a president, a vice president, a secretary, a treasurer, and possibly a few other things. But I want you to ponder for a moment, what level of education does it take to be a school board president? Gabriella, could you be a school board president if you wanted to?
Absolutely.
Good. I'm glad you said that, because that is the correct answer. Doesn't require any particular education. You just have to want it. And of course, it's an elected position, so people have to agree with you.
Yeah.
But here, I just want to share this with you. We're not going to do the breakout on this one. We're just going to stay in the main group here. But I don't know if many of you know where the city of Alhambra is. I chose Alhambra because that's where my two boys went to school. And I didn't even know this myself. I just looked it up last night, that who's the school board president of Alhambra. But look what I found out. It's Mr. Kenneth Tang. And I don't know if this printing is too small for you to see, but it talks about him being a refugee from Vietnam and going out on the sea with his parents, being attacked by pirates. Some of the families and children were taken captive. Some of them died. They were finally rescued. They lived in a refugee camp for a long period of time. Who would have ever thought? This is the president of the Alhambra School Board.
Wow.
When I read this, I felt a very warm feeling in my heart. Like, wow, this guy's for real. I mean, he didn't just come out of some office somewhere. And if you read more on down, you'll see that what his values are, where because of his past experience, he wants to ensure equity in educational settings. And he wants the administration of the school to be reflective of the community in which the school exists, and so on. Very, very on point ideas. So that's why in this segment, what is the topic of this segment? Get to know the administration. They're people too. They have backgrounds, they have families, they have hobbies, and interests. Don't just see, that's why I use this graphic here. Many of our impression of an administrator, just somebody that's bossing us, but that's because we don't really know about them too much. So, all right. So with that, now I'm going to move on to the last segment here. But first, the riddle. You buy me to eat, but you never eat me. What am I?
Forks and spoons.
Yes. You have the answer right away.
I was completely stumped, Doug. I was literally like, wait, what could this be?
I know.
I don't know who got it that fast, but that was not all of us.
Oh, there's a guy.
Me
There's
too.
another guy that's gotten like everyone like within 1 second.
Me? No.
Yeah, Archie.
No, it wasn't me. Oh,
No, I know that wasn't you, but I'm just telling Renee that you have. Okay, we're on to the last segment. This is our final segment. Manage your money. This is the thing that we've heard the most with regard to teaching. We heard a lot of things, but money is the thing that comes up the most often. All right, so we're going to address the issue of money, not in its fullness because we don't, it's a very big topic, but we'll start with, well, what can you expect as a starting salary for a teaching job? And to that end, just last night, I went to EdJoin, which is a website that you should have in your pocket. If you don't already, it's very simple, edjoin.org. And you can do a region search. I did the search for Los Angeles County. And because Mount Sac is close to Pomona, I chose the Pomona School District. So this is a fresh off the press, just downloaded it last night. Starting salary for the 21-22 school year for elementary school teacher, starting salary, $47,444. That means no matter what, you won't make less than this. You might even make more to that. Look at the range. It can go up to 104,000 as a starting salary. See, it says right here, beginning salary from 47,444 to 104, depending on your experience, education, and your subject service area. There may be more, the pay may go up depending on what particular thing you're teaching. So you can now start thinking about this. You know, is this a livable wage in California? I think it is, just depending on your lifestyle. But if you're not living an extravagant lifestyle, this is certainly a living wage. And so we're going to talk also about how does the teacher's pay increase over time? So if this is your starting pay, how will you make it go up? And there's two ways that your pay is going to go up. The first way is just the time that you spend teaching. That's time increments. So it might vary slightly from one district to another, but all the districts that I've known about have a 10-year salary increase increment. You know, year one salary, year two, your salary goes up, year three, year four, all the way up to the 10th year. This is not including cost of living increases. That's another way. So that's the first way. Just that usually maxes out at 10 years. And so the way that's usually expressed is you're now at the top of the salary scale. You've taught 10 years now, so your years of service aren't going to go up anymore after that. But guess what can go up after that? Your units, your post-baccalaureate units. So everyone needs a bachelor's degree as the basis for a teaching credential, but then you have something called post-baccalaureate units. They usually just call them post-bac units. And those are your units beyond your bachelor's degree. Now, if you're clever, you can make those units do something for you. So for example, you could get a master's degree. Ooh, now you have a master's degree. Now, not only do you have post-baccalaureate degrees, but you also have a master's degree increment, which I might be a little bit out of the game here, but last I checked, it was like $2,000 a year for a master's degree increment. It may very probably has gone up since then.
Doug, for me, and that was a while ago, for me too, it was in my district, it was $500 more a month.
Oh my God.
Because my friend and I, we were kindergarten teachers. She was morning, I was afternoon. We had taught the same number of years, and she had a credential. I had the credential and master's, which for me was only one more year of schooling because I went to a combined program. And now some of them you can do a master's and credential just in 1 year, some places. Anyways, we ended up being $500 difference. The second she found that out, she went back to school because it was like a car payment. I mean, it was so substantial. It's unbelievable. It's too bad we don't track people from the start, letting them know that. Because if it's like one more year of school for $5,000 every year of a career,
yeah,
worth it.
That's a lot of money. That's why we're having this workshop, to let people know, all of these young people that are with us today that are thinking about a career in teaching. Those post-baccalaureate units are money in the bank, as you just heard Renee say. You can even go on for your PhD if you want to. But that's a very efficient way of doing it. Or you can get a specialist credential. You can add those units up to do a specialist credential. That would be like teaching with students with a disability, just different things that you can do with those units. So that's the two ways that your salary grows. What else about pay? What about, it's we had an extension on the tax returns this year, which I believe is May 17th now or 15th instead of April 15th. So do you right now, as you sit here in this meeting, do you know anything about special tax breaks for teachers? Because they do exist. You can either look them up online or you can talk to a tax accountant. I'm going to try to turn this into a tax seminar, but there's tax deferments. You can deduct your costs for professional development. If you went to a conference and the conference costs $300, because you're a teacher, that's tax deductible. There are certain tax breaks that exist only for teachers, so you should know about them. I've told you, mentioned it earlier on in this workshop, that teachers work 180 days in the year, so that leaves you with about some time off from teaching. And then many teachers do something with that time off. There's many teachers that have a second type of work that they do when they're not teaching. Any kind of thing that you can think of. They could be a lifeguard, they could work at a club, they could do just different things. So those are other things that you can do. That doesn't have directly to do with teaching, except that it has to do with that teaching affords you some time off. And then the last thing I want you to consider under the topic of managing your money is an awareness of retirement plans. This is something that I would like you to know before you ever step your foot into the classroom, because there's huge differences in what you do with your money that affects your retirement plan. And lucky for you, there's the Teacher Preparation Institute, which Keiko, who's my partner here today, is the coordinator of that institute. Is just about 3 days from now, on May 6th, we'll have a workshop hosted by, Keiko, are you listening?
Yes, I am.
Is it hosted by
It's CalSTA's representative from the I believe the Glendale office.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's the most local office to here, to Mount Sac. Yeah, you guys should totally take advantage of this. Oh my, I can't emphasize to you how clever and wise you would be to spend 90 minutes of your time learning about the state teacher retirement system. It can make tens of thousands of dollars of difference in your earnings over time. It's not something that a new teacher usually thinks of, but we're really emphasizing it. And Keiko was very smart to arrange for this workshop that's coming up on May 6th. So go to the TPI Hub on the Canvas and register for it, or you can copy this link here. Okay, so our last, we didn't do our quote for this section here. Yeah, our quote, I like this quote. If a child can't learn the way we teach, maybe we should teach the way he learns. Of course, it can be he or she. This is referencing to adaptability. And we should know, it should be part of our teaching repertoire to know different ways to teach children who learn differently, because people do learn differently. Some people are visual learners, some people are auditory learners, some people are kinesthetic learners, and so on and so on. So that's our quote for this segment. And then, as usual, we will end with a little riddle here. What has 4 legs but can't walk?
Chair.
Table.
Table. Chair.
Yes, you can say a chair or a table. All right, so now we've come to the end, and it's just about time to end. The last principle that I want to leave you with is to enjoy your teaching, to have fun. When you see a smiling teacher, it fills your heart with a good, happy feeling as well. your teaching should be fun. It is fun. It's fun. You're working with the most precious thing that there is to work with, a human life. It's very close to the heart of our humanity. So if you're missing that point, I would strongly suggest, reconsidering all the points that we've been talking about. Now, for our last exercise is a face exercise. So I want you to put your mouth and make it go up like this. And that is called a smile. And I would like to leave you with a smile and hope that your smile lasts with you the rest of this day. It was such a pleasure to spend this time with you. Thank you for allowing me the privilege to do that. And I wish you all the very best in your teaching career. I will say goodbye to you at this point. One last thing, if you came in late and you didn't give your first and last name and email address to Keiko, please do that now in the private chat message so that we can verify that you were here today. All right, have a wonderful day, you guys.
Thank you, Professor.
You too. Thank you.
Excuse me, Mr. Hughey.
Yes.
How can we watch this meeting over again if we want to?
Renee, do you have the answer to that?
Absolutely. What we're doing is all the presenters have been recording, and as soon as the session wraps, Doug will send the recording has to process a little bit, and then he will send it over, or Kyoko will send it over to Bobby Becca, and then we will get it uploaded as quickly as possible. We were actually already able to upload the 2 first sessions from earlier today, and it's on the Teacher Prep Program website. You can also find it on the Teach LARC YouTube channel, and I can include that in my email tonight, so that way everybody will have those links directly. Okay. I'm waiting to send the links for tomorrow until we kind of get a little closer to the end of today, but I'll make sure I include that. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor.